Hi, it's John from North Star Nursery, Garden and Home, your coastal gardener. I wanted to kind of help you think about summer bloomers as we start to get them in. For a lot of you, you've been asking about certain things that aren't quite in yet, and now we're starting to get all of those, excuse me, all of those summer fall bloomers. Specifically, I wanted to talk about the salvia. Goodness. Sorry about that, guys. So, we've started getting a lot of them in, and I wanted to point some of them out. The beauty of salvias is, for the most part, they're deer resistant. They're drought tolerant once established after the third year. So what we do with getting a plant established that is drought tolerant, we water the first year on a regular basis 2 to 3 times a week because it still thinks it's living in a container. The second year you pull back by half. The third year by half again. Some salvias will actually benefit from some watering as they are even established. So some of the ones that have more of a kind of a tropical-y look to them tend to be the ones that need some regular watering, irregular watering through the summer once they're established. We were loving a lot of these new salvias that came out probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It all started with a variety, I think, that was called Wendy's Wish. And it's this kind of wide tropical-y leaf. The beauty of this whole series, and there's a bunch of them, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them here. There's probably 7. So this one is not Wendy's Wish. This is called Ember's Wish because it's an ember color. The beauty of these salvias is that even when they are done blooming, they have these calyxes that are still a color of almost the flower. And so you still have things that look like they're blooming. Now, I'm sorry, it keeps moving. The calyx is this little kind of slightly off-colored part that holds the blossom itself. And so with all of these series, you have that benefit of having what looks like flowers for a very long time, even when the flowers are done and they're still coming out on the end of the stems, you have this color down low. So it's really, really lovely. That one was from our growers in Santa Rosa, Emerisa Gardens. Oh, here is Wendy's Wish. I didn't think I had it. So Wendy's Wish, this one hasn't quite opened its actual flowers yet. But to me, even this, like, what looks like a seed head, I just think is gorgeous. It reminds me of ornamental oregano that has that kind of cascading effect. By the way, we do have a lot of ornamental oreganos right now. So if you're into that, come and get them. This is Love and Wishes. Love and Wishes is more of a true purple. And again, a really great bloomer. A lot of these from this collection top out about 2 to 3 feet and about 2 to 3 feet wide. My suggestion on this whole collection is to avoid pruning hard in the fall, to wait and prune later on when it first emerges in spring. Because you don't want to prune too hard. Sometimes the stems will get frozen in the frost, and then they don't always regenerate. I've learned that one very well myself. One of my, one more of the, this is a Wendy's Wish in full size. So you can kind of see the flowers on this. This is a, what I would call a third year plant. So it started off as a 4-inch. We shifted it to a gallon. And then last fall, we shifted it to the 2-gallon. And so you can kind of see, if I can do this well, this is the first year and this is the third year. And so very good looking plant, in my opinion. I love the color of the leaves. Another one that everybody is really, really well versed in is the Mexican sage. This is called midnight. Midnight just means that the calyx and the flower are both purple. There's another one that is all purple also called Santa Barbara. And Santa Barbara is supposed to be a dwarf, so it's supposed to only top out about 2 feet, as opposed to the traditional Mexican sage that can get 3 to 4 feet. So this is midnight, and this will get 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. Mexican sage do have a tendency to clump. I wouldn't call them runners, but they will get a big mound of them. I've seen them as big as 4 or 5 feet because the mound just keeps spreading. If you wanted to isolate that, you could actually use an old, like 7 or 10 gallon pot, cut the bottom out, plant the salvia in the middle of that, countersink that now ring into the soil so you don't really see it. And then what will happen is when this hits the edge of that, it'll stop. So it's what we would call a root barrier. So that's midnight. The other one that is the traditional tried and true is, gosh. I'm just so choked up about these salvias. This is purple and white. This is the one that's been on the market forever. Salvia leucantha. And this one will definitely get 3 to 4 feet high and wide. The other thing to know about the Mexican sage, if you're planting it this year, in the fall you would leave it alone and not do any major pruning because you want all of the material that's above to insulate this root crown because this root crown is still young. The second year you can go ahead and prune them slightly aggressively. I would still leave 3 or so inches of nubs. The third year and on, you can pretty much mow it. It's amazing how this stuff comes back. I've clear cut it to the ground by hand with pruners, fertilized it, top dressed it with some bark, and it just goes to town. So it's very forgiving. It's very, very good at blooming all the way through until the very first frost. So that's Salvia leucantha. This is another really fun one. It's not a big showstopper in the sense that it's hugely floriferous, but this is Salvia marine blue. And it is marine blue because it is truly blue. It's a great contrast to this kind of grayish foliage. The foliage also has this kind of rusty maroon color that repeats the calyx color on the flowers. So this is a nice one. This one's only going to get, I think, 3 feet by 3 feet at the max. Sorry, 2 feet tall, 3 feet wide. So this one does not run. This is just a center branch that just kind of branches out and is gorgeous. Oh, this one's not blooming. I wish it was blooming for Mother's Day. This is Salvia amistad. They haven't popped out yet, but it is incredibly black. And then the flower color on this one is supposed to be dark purple. Yep, dark purple. And darker calyxes. 4 foot tall and as wide given the opportunity. This is an offshoot or a sport from Salvia black and blue, I think is the variety. So on the other one, the calyx is black like this, but the flower is blue. So a nice contrast for the garden if you're doing blues. I have a lot of favorites. It's really bad. We got this from a grower a few years ago from Monterey Bay, in the Monterey Bay area. This is Salvia Big Swing. Now, yeah, good, it does. It says exactly how big it gets. This can get very, very large. But I think it's a great, great plant for the back of the garden, for that very highest tier if you're working on kind of tearing down from a fence line, from the house, whatever. It wants absolute full sun. It will top out 4 to 6 feet tall. What I do with ours at the nursery is I cut them down to about 3 to 4 inch nubs each year, and then they regenerate really beautifully. The blue on this is just perfect. It's kind of this gentian blue. I'm not sure, can't get it, huh? Definitely very deer resistant. I've used it at my house with very little chewing, and we back up to Jug Handle State Park, so it's definitely open for the dining opportunities. These are just a few, so just the beginning, just the tip of the iceberg, you might say, of what's coming in for salvias. But I wanted you to start thinking about those things, because sometimes when we shop in spring, we're kind of falling in love with spring blooming things. And so I want to give you some thoughts for the season ahead to kind of make sure that your garden is diversified as far as your bloom exposure. The other thing I wanted to point out, this little guy is so cute. For those of you that remember The Sound of Music and the most adorable song in the world, Edelweiss, this is Edelweiss. So it has just this great grayish colored flower structure. I currently have them on display with these Mystic Blue Salvias, which I didn't even talk about, which I'll talk about really quickly. This is just a sweet plant. I've never seen this before. This is one of those plants where when I saw it on the list, I was really not sure because it doesn't say Edelweiss in the description. And I looked it up and I fell in love. So something for you guys to check out that's on the very front table. This is one of my other favorites. This is Salvia Mystic Spires. And this was one that was hybridized from a variety called Indigo Spires. Indigo Spires is kind of Dr. Seussy, has this really weird kind of crazy shape, these big long arms that just kind of, pop out of nowhere. So not always the best for a tidy, garden. This one is compact and very, very bloom strong. So it's pushing out a lot of little baby spikes. And so as this guy matures, you'll have about a 2-foot head of foliage and then just a series of different flower heads. As the flowers pass, you want to cut them down, this old flower down, to let these new ones come. This way the energy goes to these new babies. So that is Salvia Mystic Spires. Planting them, you want to definitely consider using Sure Start as usual, so whether it's going in a pot or in the ground. If you have existing salvias that need fertilization, if you wanted to get focused, you could do this, which is the rose and flower food. Or if you have this in your pantry, because this is one of the pantry basics, use that by all means. Make sure you scratch it in really well around the plant and water it very thoroughly. The only other thing, they're not usually bothered by a lot, but they are chewed on by snails and slugs. So Sluggo Plus is definitely a really good option for you. Remember, Sluggo Plus is OMRI listed. It's organic, it's made for organic gardening, it's safe around pets. If your dog eats the whole bottle, they're going to have a tummy ache. But if they nibble a little bit here and there, or if the birds take it from where you're putting it out, it's not going to hurt them. The other thing is, these plants are all deer resistant. But if you haven't planted them in your yard before and you're introducing a new plant and you have deer, you absolutely need to spray it with liquid fence. What you're doing in this instance is you are teaching the deer that they do not want this. And eventually they just kind of they'll figure it out and you won't have to do this all the time. I do this once a month at my house on my roses because we have climbing roses on the house and the deer love to eat them, understandably. So, but I want roses, so I spray. So I think that's it. I hope you guys are having a great day. It is, of course, Mother's Day. The sun is coming out, which is really, really great. And if you haven't stopped by the nursery lately, you should come and check it out. It looks pretty good. All right. I will see you next week. Have a great day.